We are recording Two Heels podcast. To anybody watching this first intro bit, the editing levels of this video are going to go down, and I'm sorry, but college is college, and
Ethan has a life.
yeah, so I have other stuff to do, but I do seriously want to keep these videos coming out. The original goal was weekly. I want to try to get to that. But if I do that, I can't edit as much because it just takes too long to edit and upload and render and all that jazz.
Respectable, bro. It's a crazy semester. You got to do what you got to do.
Exactly. Right now, I'm just trying not to get the disease. Anyways, so what are we talking about? I honestly didn't prepare any subjects, so I'm down to talk about sports in general, what we think.
I got a big topic that really pissed me off on Thursday.
I'm interested.
So, I was watching the game, the Lakers Nuggets game, right? And it is the NBA simply is a business that wants the Lakers to win. It's insane. You watch the game, it's every single call the Lakers get, and it was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, the NBA's got a big problem, in my opinion, of they call too many fouls. It's just
Agreed.
it's a pansy league now because of it. Secondly, if you watch that stupid game, the Denver Nuggets did not have a chance to win. They couldn't have done anything. They did all that they could, and they still lost because every single call was against them and for the Lakers. Every single call. It was every 2 minutes. Jokic comes in with 9 minutes to play with 3 fouls. He has to sit with 8 minutes to play with 5 fouls. 2 fouls in a row. Pansy fouls, right?
Yeah.
You saw Jamal Murray go up for a layup, and LeBron hits his hand. Not called. If the Lakers drove into the paint at all, there was automatic foul, and they were on the free throw line. It was
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous. It was insane.
Yeah.
And
I
the
watched.
thing is,
Oh, go on.
nobody talked about it. There was not a single commentator. There was not a single reporter or anything that talked about the amount of fouls that were called. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I agree on some points. Do I think the NBA is trying to make the Lakers win? Not necessarily. I know that it's probably good for business for the Lakers to win with like everything that's happened in the past year. But I don't think they're trying to force the Lakers to win. I've never been a big fan of the whole I know there's like a theory the NBA is rigged.
Right.
And
I'm telling you.
well, I can see why people think that. I don't think it's a thing because like if the NBA is rigged, why I mean why does Cleveland beat Golden State? I get that you could say like they wanted to add to LeBron's legacy and like
Right.
all
That's
that.
exactly why.
But like
Look, I'm like obviously it was rigged when the refs were betting on the games that they were officiating.
yeah,
That's
that's openly
highly illegal
yeah.
in the sports world. But look, I'm not necessarily a full believer that it is, but after watching that game, it makes you think how much of a business is the NBA.
Yeah.
Think about it. All right. Denver has been up or has been down 1-3 in every series they've played, and they came back.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one reason why the refs or why the NBA wanted them to lose that game, because now they're down 1-3, so maybe they can come back.
Yeah,
Secondly,
adds to the
they
story.
also want the Lakers to be in the finals, obviously, because it's LeBron, it's the Lakers, it's everybody's top pick. The Lakers are the Showtime team. If the Lakers are in the finals, they're going to get more views, right? So they have to, even though they may not be thinking, oh, the Lakers have to be in the finals. They're thinking, oh, we want the Lakers to be in the finals.
Yeah.
And that's on the back of their minds. And it's affecting the way that they're running the business. Like,
Yeah.
even if they're not saying, all right, we're not doing this on purpose. We're not trying to make the Lakers win on purpose, but it's in the back of their minds that if the Lakers do win, we make more money. And so that's just going to affect their decisions they make. And I'm telling you, I'm not saying that the NBA is that much of a business. I'm not saying it's that rigged. But after watching that game, it makes you think, is it?
Yeah, I get that. I'm interested to see, because me and my dad had this is kind of similar along the lines of like viewership and sports being a business as a bottom line. The sports are a business at the highest level.
Right.
We were watching the U.S. Open, and one thing, if people don't know, the U.S. Open is like notoriously the hardest course. They always make not the hardest course. It's notoriously made harder. So like
Right.
they take a course that is difficult. Like they played in New York this year. I can't think of the course. It has a special name, something Willow, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a really hard course as is. The players are talking about like the fairways are basically the width of everyone's foot.
Right.
Fairways are hard as hell to hit. And they were talking about it, and they basically overgrow the rough. They make sure the green is really dry, which if you don't watch golf, if the green's dry, the ball rolls.
Fast. It's
like it goes fast. Like the ball hits the ground and increases in speed.
Right.
So they do that on purpose. And one thing that it pisses my dad off about is like it's not a fun tournament to watch, because it's basically, in some people's point of view, it's basically the PGA trying to make people look bad, because the winning score is usually always like -4.
5 or yeah. But the thing is, do I want – golf is not an easy sport. It's, in my opinion, it's one of the hardest, if not the hardest, right? So do I want to see these pros go out there every tournament and shoot 30 under? No, I don't.
Yeah.
And so, like, in my opinion, I liked seeing the higher scores, because it's like golf is hard. It might as well be hard for the pros as well. It just makes it more it makes it more of like birdies are a lot more valuable, and a good shot is a lot more valuable on a harder course than it is on an easy course. I like the US Open for that reason.
See, I agree with you to an extent. I think it does need to be hard. They shouldn't be shooting 30 under. I know there have been times where like DJ shoots like 27 under and blows out the field.
Right.
But like actually the eye test. I watch a lot of Skip and Shannon, and Skip Bayless always talks about the eye test. The eye test of watching that tournament, it was not enjoyable. Like personally, I don't think it was enjoyable, because like I'm watching players like Morikawa, Rory McIlroy, John Rahm, absolutely killers of this game. Tiger Woods, and they couldn't hit a fairway if they wanted to. Like they couldn't hit a fairway with a putter off the green. Like you couldn't even roll the ball onto the fairway.
Yeah. So I actually didn't get to watch any of it this year. I was working, what's
Fun
new.
stuff.
But so I mean, I just saw the scores, and obviously one thing that I do agree with, like, if a player can break away more easy on a hard course. So like Bryson DeChambeau won by a couple of strokes, and he was ahead. He was ahead of the pack, by a ton, and he won by a couple of strokes between second. But there was a big gap between, the leaders and then the majority of the field. So like, it's easier for players to have a good day and break away from the rest of the tournament. So that kind of makes it less exciting.
Yeah.
But I don't know, something about the value of the birdies on a hard course is, in my opinion, better than it is if you're expected to birdie, 70% of the holes.
Yeah. And I can't imagine how satisfying it is to actually win like Bryson DeChambeau. But I know you didn't get to watch it, but if you watch the final pairing is DeChambeau and this other guy. He's a smaller golfer. He's not as big as DeChambeau, like name wise.
Yeah, so I say nobody is as big as
No,
Bryson.
I mean, he was drinking protein shakes walking down the fairway. I was
Right.
like, bro, is it that deep? Like he was drinking one, and then he hit a couple. I think he finished the hole, and then he teed off, and he was drinking another. And me and my dad were like, is that another one, or is he finishing?
Right.
Like we're like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's drinking
It's
another
probably
one.
another one, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, back to the main point. So we were watching it, and one thing I pointed out was like winning the U.S. Open in the way that they set it up now isn't necessarily like you're not going to win the U.S. Open by coming back and catching someone. Like you're not going to come and catch like the Morikawa if he's at minus or he is at +2 and DeChambeau's at -6 to start the day. Morikawa's not making up that ground at a U.S. Open.
Right.
He's just not. What is going to happen is the way you win the tournament is you get more pars than anybody else and hope to God the leaders bogey everything and drop. Because, I mean, Jordan Spieth, for example, shot an 81. Shot an 81. He went 10 over on one day.
Right.
And got destroyed. Like, that's the part where I'm like, you can make the course not so hard. If Jordan Spieth is shooting 10 over, I mean, Christ, my dad on a good golf day could have kept up with Jordan Spieth at the U.S. Open.
Right. Well, probably not on that course, but
no. My dad would be shooting like 130. I mean, sheesh.
right. But I do think that this year was a little harder than it has been in the past.
Yeah, they were
6 under is not bad, but like I said, there was such a big gap between 6 under and then the rest of the field, or the average score. It was a little too tough, but still, I like to see him struggle.
Yeah, it's good to see him struggle because it's like, you are human.
You are human, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, I agree, and I agree with you because they said opening the week, they were like, this is a hard course, whether it's a U.S. Open or not. Like, this is a really hard course.
Yeah.
Because the fairway, like, they didn't change, the U.S. Open didn't change the fairways. The fairways are thin, and the greens are generally quicker than average. But you add the U.S. Open effect, and it makes the thing damn near impossible. So that's where it becomes the issue because it's like, well, now you're going up against even harder. It's like when Golden State signed Kevin Durant. It's like, oh, so you were the greatest team ever, and then you signed the second greatest player. So it's like, I mean, I understand they want to make it hard, but I don't know. My favorite major is still always going to be the Masters. It's just how high it is.
That's just the perfect course. The Masters is the perfect sporting event. There's no greater sporting event. The March Madness is a second, but the Masters is the greatest. Super Bowl is like last.
Yeah, we've had this conversation. I won't say the Super Bowl is high up there, but I personally grew up on the NFL playoffs. Like I watched the playoffs during the winter.
Yeah.
And that was my big thing. So that's where we disagree because it's like you grew up watching March Madness. I always was like, oh, March Madness is happening. Okay.
Well, yeah. But March Madness is obviously better than NFL playoffs. It's not even close. Because March Madness, anything can happen. That's what I love about it. And, like, I know a lot of people say that, but it's true. There's a Cinderella story every year. There's buzzer beaters every day that they play in the tournament. And it's so just – you see these guys go out there and give it their all on the basketball court, and it's nothing – the NFL can't touch that, in my opinion.
I will say for me, top 3 sporting events, I'll go top 4. I'll go top 4. Yeah, we'll go top 4. I was going to say top 5, but screw it, top 4. I can only think of 4. I would probably go Masters is 1 because I do agree with you. That is it's a lottery system to even go.
It's
And my dad has entered every year and we haven't gone yet. So keep your fingers crossed,
yeah.
people.
Well, it's not even the Masters
History and
isn't.
everything added
I'm
to it.
not saying that the Masters is the most entertaining. I'm saying
No.
that the Masters is the most special and the most well done and just beautiful. And like as
It's
soon as
wholesome.
right, as soon as the Masters is on, it's springtime, and that's what's cool about it
Mhm.
because it like when you hear that music, the Masters music, and you see Augusta, and you're like you see those azaleas, something in your heart, like in my heart at least, like
Yeah.
warms up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what's special about it, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I'll go. I agree with you on that. I'll say Mass because I've been to one U.S. Open. I
Yeah.
went to U.S. Open at Pinehurst. Hold on, I have a poster or saying I don't know. It was June 14th. It was a Saturday, but I went. It was one of the coolest experiences because it's like honestly, anybody watching this, if you've never gone to see a golf tournament in person, I would highly recommend it because it is literally you're outside, you walk around like even if you don't like golf, it's pretty to just walk
Right.
around and like
I,
see stuff. It's like at a fair.
I've actually never been to one.
Yeah, I've been to two. So I went to U.S. Open Pinehurst because my dad was like,
Right.
U.S. Open's in North Carolina. Let's go.
I
And I
was
was
gonna
like,
say it's
yeah,
like
I'll
2
go.
hours from here.
Yeah. And then I went to Wyndham Championships, which is also in North Carolina.
Yeah.
That was purely because that was right when Tiger started to come back. That was one of his tournaments when he was warming back up. And so me and my dad went because we wanted to see Tiger in person.
Right.
So I've been to two. And honestly, even if you don't like golf, it's just fun to go outside, walk around. You're in nature. It's usually all these courses are beautiful.
Golf's obviously the prettiest sport, but it's
Yeah.
awesome.
And it's like, for me, I liked it because you weren't just sat in a chair the whole time. It was nice to like walk. You sit there. I remember we walked up to a green. Rory was putting. We just sat there. We're just like, okay. He putted, nailed it. Everyone who was big Rory fans followed Rory. Me and my dad went back and got a hot dog, pre-veganism. And we were like, boom, hot dog and chips sitting there. All of a sudden, you see it shot. We're sitting like on a bridge thing, looking at a green, and no one was there. And we just see a golf ball land like 200 meters from us. I'm like, dang, wonder who hit that. Look up, and we see this horde running down the hill, and it was Tiger.
Really?
Like, literally, like, we saw the Tiger horde, the thing people make jokes about, in person. One of the craziest things I've ever seen. Like, I remember sitting there, me and my dad looked, and we were like, who is that? We like, look over. We see, like, this man just come walking down the hill, and you see, like, 30,000 people sprinting. And it was like, wow.
Like in SpongeBob, like the crowds, you just see little shapes.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. And like we just left. We left because we saw him walk up, and like he was probably 100 meters from us. We looked at him, we're like, oh wow, that's Tiger. And we were like, well, we don't want to get caught up in this crowd, so let's head out.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll say Masters 1 because golf is cool. For me, I'm gonna say Olympics 2.
Okay.
NFL playoffs, March Madness. That's what I go for my top 4.
I go Masters, March Madness, Wimbledon.
Ooh. What's your 4?
I think I have to say. NFL playoffs.
Yeah. It's just.
I'm not sure though. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously the Olympics are cool, but I can't. I'm not that much into them too.
Yeah.
I mean, Olympics is another one of those things that are kind of like on another level because it's the whole world and it's every 4 years and.
Oh God! Wait, hold on. No, let me redo this. I completely forgot one. Masters stays in its spot. Olympics stays in its spot. The World Cup and then NFL playoffs. The March Madness is dropped back to 5. I'm sorry. World Cup is like amazing. U.S. doesn't make it. Don't really give a damn. We never make it. So I wait for the Women's World Cup for that to happen. But like, yeah, World Cup is banging. I love soccer, but that's just me. And then Olympics is to me is it's just such a pure sporting event. And I know there's all like the corruption behind it and like should we pay these athletes? Should we
Right.
not? Should there be private sponsors for people and all that? Um, Regardless of that, it is just like it's so it's just cool because you don't see sports you usually see. As a track athlete, it's literally the only time track becomes a mainstream sport.
Right.
So it's just, I think it's amazing just because it brings so many different groups together and it's like a worldwide sport.
Yeah. No, that is really cool, and you can't ever take that away from it. But yeah,
But you kind of have to be into it. I'll be honest. You have to be into
right.
it. Like you
And
kind
I
of
mean,
have to.
when it's on, I definitely watch it. I mean, it's cool to see sport you never see, like
Yeah.
weird stuff. But
Like biathlons, bro.
yeah,
Cross
and
country skiing and shooting.
right,
That's a Canadian right there.
right. Um, but yeah, Wimbledon though, it's got the same feeling as the Masters to me.
That's a
It's
good
not
one.
quite
I
up
didn't
there with
think
the
of it.
Masters, but you know, it's one of those special events that brings you back home whenever it's on, and it's just like it's cool to watch. I remember we were on vacation last year at the beach, and it was Wimbledon's the finals. It was Federer and Novak, and
Hell of a final.
yeah, and we wake up at like 8 o'clock to watch it, and expecting it to be like, you know, a couple hours long so we could go on the beach. Ended up being 5 hours long, a fifth setter, and we watched every single point, and I don't regret it. Like that was
Yeah.
we were on vacation and we watched Wimbledon for 5 hours, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
But
Wimbledon. That was a good one. When you said that, I was like, damn, that's a good one. If I'm be honest, I like watching tennis. I don't understand it to the level you do, but just
yeah,
watching it, I'm like, wow, like I couldn't do that.
yeah, no, and I know tennis doesn't look all that like hard, like it doesn't look like that much exercise, but it is. And when these guys are playing 5 hours, that is ridiculous. Like especially singles.
Usually in the sun too.
Yeah, in 5 sets of singles in back to back to back, that's tough, especially the level that they're playing at.
Yeah.
Um,
Because you got to think about it. There's not like, I mean, there kind of is, but there's never a moment during a rally where you jog.
no,
Like,
never,
it's never like, oh, let me jog over to this, and there's, oh, right back. Let me jog
right,
over. It's like, no, it's like
yeah,
sprint, sprint, sprint.
right. And U.S. Open this year was team against Zverev, and it went to a fifth setter, and it was a fifth setter. It went to a fifth set, but in the fifth set, uh, both of their legs were cramping. Like
Yeah.
both players could barely walk after. Both players. Like it was literally like you'd see them finish a point and they'd both like look at their legs, smack their legs or something, like
Keep them
crawl over to
alive.
the line to play another point. And it's like, holy shit, these guys are gonna die. Like that, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Tennis majors are worth watching, even if you don't watch tennis. I think you would enjoy watching a major championship in tennis.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's one of those sports where, like soccer, where it's like there's always something happening. It's not like
Right.
football where it's like they run the ball for 2 yards and then there's a 30-second conversation on the
Right.
head coach. And then they throw the ball for 2 yards and then there's a 40-second conversation on the other head coach. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's cool. That's one thing I do like about, I don't know how best to say this, like non-Americanized sports. That's how I'm going to say it.
Right.
Like soccer, tennis, sports along those lines, even athletics and stuff like that in the Olympics,
Yeah.
is I like that they put a lot more of a focus on like, well, no commercials, no breaks. Like, let's keep this
Right.
going. It makes it more enjoyable because like Football, I get that that's kind of like the nature of the game. You set, hike, you stop the play. Like you
Yeah.
kind of can't keep going in football. But
Right.
like rugby keeps going. It's a nonstop sport basically. It's cool.
Baseball.
Baseball is a pure American sport. Throw a pitch, 40 minutes, you throw the second pitch.
I was about to say it's more than a minute every time.
Yeah.
It's
I'll
more than
cons-
60 seconds.
yeah, I'll concede to everyone. Hitting a baseball is the hardest thing ever. Of course. I couldn't hit a rock. I couldn't hit with a racket, I probably would miss the ball still. Like with a tennis
Right.
racket, I probably still couldn't hit the baseball. But like, just because it's the hardest thing ever doesn't make the sport exciting
No.
to
And
watch on TV. On TV.
Baseball is just stupid. I was having this conversation last night. Like even the fields aren't regulated. Like one field
Is
you can hit
longer
a
than the other.
homer, right? And it's like,
Why is that a thing? Yeah.
what? That shouldn't make sense. The Astros, I'm pretty sure it's Houston. They have a hill in the middle of their field with a flagpole. So like their field goes like this, and there's a flagpole right here in the middle of their field. It's like, what are you doing? Like, could you not move that flagpole? Could you not get rid of that hill? It's just stupid. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
like baseball.
No, yeah. I think that's one part where we're like, you and I fully agree. It's like, I don't get it. Like, I agree with you. Why are fields different? Because I think we could be off on this, but I think Boston has like a really long home run. And also
So
they have the
that.
Green
They have the
Monster.
Green Monster.
Yeah, so it's like hitting a home run in Boston, you got to send. If you're not Aaron
Right.
Judge, you're not getting it out.
right.
Like, and that to me is so stupid. Like, why is every field not 300
Why is
yards,
it not universal?
300 feet? Yeah, like
Right.
why? Oh, it doesn't make sense. But,
And like it's different. Like in Denver, there's a lot of home runs hit because the air's thin.
yeah, so the ball travels faster.
Because that's
They can't control that.
right. But when I just feel like it's has to be an unfair advantage if your field's shorter or longer. I mean, I understand that both teams are hitting on the same field, and so like if it's harder for your opponent to hit a home run, it's also harder for you to hit a home run. But it's just weird.
Yeah, and it makes me question. So like, oh my God, I'm completely blanking on his name right now. Ken Griffey? No, it's the other guy. The guy who has a home run record, who like everyone thought did roids or maybe did do roids. But like he played in San Francisco, and I'm pretty sure San Francisco has a short home run because it's literally like the field backs up onto the bay.
Yeah.
Like, so he has the home run record. So it's always interesting, like, if he played for Boston his whole career, would he have the same record? Because I know there are home runs where like they barely get out. Like the fence is here, the ball drops here.
Exactly.
And then there are home runs where the fence is here and the ball goes way over here.
Right. And there's also like you catch a ball over the fence. That happens.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so like in one field, that wouldn't be an out. That would be a home run. And the other, it's an out because the dude could catch it because the fence was shorter.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what?
Yeah, I know.
Baseball's just stupid.
Yeah, I know how do you judge? It's from home plate that you judge the outfield. I know the right field of, I want to say it's Boston. So left field, I think, is the Green Monster.
Yeah.
Right field of Boston is like a fence, but it's probably like, I mean, I only see it from the pictures. It's probably like 4 feet tall.
Yeah.
So I'm like, because you always see the videos of like players like running to catch a home run and they catch it and they flip over it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Like, it's 4 feet. If you hit a line drive at it, like, could you just skim the top and get it over?
Yeah. It's baseball is, in my opinion, the worst sport.
It's the worst spectator sport. I'll say that right now. To
Yeah.
play it is probably fun, but it is the worst spectator sport.
And
I would rather
also,
watch water polo.
If you hit a baseball and get on base 3 out of 10 times at bat, you have a multi-million-dollar contract. If you're batting average
It's 300.
is 300. That means like really 3 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
I just think it's stupid.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, it's also like, I mean, that plays into the whole like it is hard as hell to hit a baseball. Like,
I mean, I'm not saying I could do it.
oh
I'm not
yeah,
saying
but I
that.
get what you're saying. Like,
I couldn't hit 1 out of 10. I guarantee you that I could not hit a baseball. If you give me 1,000 tries to hit a pitch from one of those guys, I wouldn't be able to do it. Obviously, I wouldn't
I
be able
might be able to bunt it, but I'm right there with you. If I had to actually swing, I'm not hitting it.
right. But still, it's just like not entertaining because
Yeah.
of
Yeah, it's just that is interesting that you bring that up because like I know statistics are getting bigger and bigger in sports, like analytics and stuff,
yeah.
which I actually enjoy because it's kind of cool looking. Like if a team is expecting an onside kick and like if a team expects an onside kick, they have like an 83% chance to recover it or like 90% chance to recover it. Unless you're the Falcons and you have a 0% chance because you're a bunch of morons. But like I like those statistics because it's like the NFL completion percentage is so cool to me. Like the fact that you can Russell Wilson right now has like 6 incompletions on the season.
Right.
He's thrown the ball almost 80 times. 6 incompletions.
Yeah. That's true. Right.
Like and then like you have players like I know there's a statistic Larry Fitzgerald has more career tackles than drops.
That's insane.
He has been playing for 17 years and he has more career tackles,
Yeah.
which I will say, it's the Cardinals. So I'm not 100% surprised. Like, I mean, Carson Palmer was like Jesus to them.
Right.
And it's Carson Palmer. I'm not saying he's not the greatest player, but he's no Tom Brady. He's no Drew Brees.
No, but some of the stats like I know in basketball, like Dennis Rodman had a game where he had like 0 points, 0 assists, 0
like
blocks,
28 rebounds,
0 everything, and he had like 28 rebounds.
those are really
How
weird.
does that even happen? How do you not get at least an assist?
Yeah,
like that's insane. That's just it's kind of cool. The stats that are out there are pretty.
Yeah, I think I want to see his ESPN or Sports Center because they have 2 different Instagrams for some reason.
Yeah.
They posted about like weird stats to happen in the NBA, or maybe it was the NBA. I'm not sure, but that was one of them. And then there was one. It was like a Wizards player played 0 minutes and had a turnover. And I showed that to my dad, and I was like, "Did he like get subbed in, inbound the ball to the other team, and get subbed out?"
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
God, your coach had no trust in you. You turned it over. He's like, off the court.
Yeah, there's one where it's like he played a minute and had 6 fouls.
Yeah, I've seen that. That is that one I 100% believe is he was subbed in the final quarter to get fouls.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's what happened. He wasn't like fouling that much.
Yeah,
still, it's a crazy
tip off. He's just going ham.
Yeah.
On the topic of basketball, though, I was watching. Was it Game 4? It might have been Game 4. And if you watch the NBA highlights on YouTube, which is my baby, love me the highlights. Can't stand watching full games sometimes. It was like I was watching it, and the Lakers, their first like 6 possessions were all just Anthony Davis. Right. Like he kept. It was the same spot. It was. I thought they accidentally edited it wrong. It was literally like catch it on the left side of the court, jump shot. Catch it on the left side of the court, drive by dunk. Catch on the left side of the court, drive by layup. It was like.
And how many fouls were called in those 6 plays? 5? Okay.
Yeah, I will agree with you. But could that also be a bad ref night? Because that happens in all sports. Like there are games when the Washington football team gets 30 holding calls and then the other team gets 1.
I mean, yes, it could be, but the Lakers are known
the profile.
And I'm telling you right now, that something was fishy with that game. I promise you. And the fact that nobody talked about it, and it was clearly an issue. Like every single call was against Denver. Watch something. Somebody's got to point it out. Like I went on Twitter during the game just to see if people were watching the same game I was, and it was like Nuggets versus refs. Like
Yeah, I've seen. I saw that. I think it was either trending or something like that. But
right.
yeah.
But the thing is nobody famous, nobody that has that sports platform said anything about it.
Yeah.
It was all the tweets and stuff were from, average people. Not a single big name said a single thing. SportsCenter didn't say anything about the refs that night. And it just makes you wonder. I'm not saying that I'm just saying.
You're not saying it's 100%, but it is fishy.
And it's like after that game, I was like, something's up. Something's definitely up. And if you think about it, it makes sense that like they will get more money if the Lakers are in the finals.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, there's like, there was an NBA playoff game. It might have been a playoff game. Maybe it was a regular season game between two big teams. I can't remember. It must have been like Golden State and someone. And I remember after the game, they were like, they were interviewing the star player. I want to say it was Kawhi. No, it wasn't Kawhi because he doesn't talk. It was like one of the players, and one of the players was like, well, yeah, it also helps that they got 30 free throws and we got 2.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, it's like, how
like,
bad can a referee be?
There becomes a point where it's not good defense that creates 2 fouls against a bad defense that creates 30. There's something up with that. And I just it just makes me mad that Denver literally could not have done anything to win that game.
Yeah.
Nothing. They just simply were not going to win that game. They could have hit every shot and the refs would have somehow found a way to make the Lakers win. And it's really frustrating when the refs are the reason a team wins. The refs should never be
the deciding factor.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. It's an interesting one because and obviously sometimes that happens and it's not actually true. Like you get the fans are getting angry because for example, like Cowboys versus football team. It's like sometimes there will be like 30 calls on the Cowboys and then no calls on Washington. And it's like,
right.
What the heck? Like, come on. But then if you actually look at it, Washington did get called the same, but it was just like, it wasn't as impactful. Like Washington got a false start instead of Cowboys got a pass interference call.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I also think the NBA has a huge, I'm not going to say it's a problem, but superstar effect is bigger in the NBA than any other sport. Like James Harden probably shoots more free throws than anybody in the league because he's a superstar. I think it's called. Right. That's why it's the superstar.
And the refs are
effect.
looking for it because they know
exactly
down. Even if they're telling themselves that they're not going to call more fouls when somebody's defending James Harden, they know deep down that this dude draws a lot of fouls, so I'm going to watch it a little bit closer.
Or this dude's a superstar, so I got to watch this. I got to see what he's doing.
And then, but like I said, the ref should never. I understand that, yes, there are going to be bad calls in a game. I understand that. But the ref should never win or lose a game for a team.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
A good example is, was it last year in the playoffs or 2 years ago? The Saints-Rams. It was 2 years
I was thinking the same thing.
Saints-Rams. Obviously, it was
horrible.
And it lost the game for the Saints.
That was 2 years ago, yeah.
But the thing about it is after the game, the refs apologized. The refs said, "Look, we missed that call, and now it's reversible." Like they changed it, so they fixed the problem. And yes, I understand that if I'm a Saints fan, I'd be really upset because it did end their season.
Saints
But
fans
like
hate referees.
at least they acknowledged that they messed up. They didn't even acknowledge the fact that Lakers got too many calls. And it just blows my mind to think that maybe it is a business.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that one because I was like, dang, he just tackled him before the ball even got there. Like he basically flattened him before the ball got there and there was no call. And I know like my dad has this uncanny ability when he sees the flag, he knows what it is.
Yeah.
He's somewhat passed that down to me. I can do it somewhat.
You're pretty good at that.
But like my dad is literally like the flag will go down, not even on the screen, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's holding," and then they're like holding on the offense, and I'm like,
Yeah.
The ball like it was a quick slant. You didn't even see the offensive lineman. But yeah, no, it's like I don't know. I think they only apologize if it's a huge mistake. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, was there one play where where Denver should have gotten called? I will say maybe they should have apologized on the block because I saw that afterwards and I was like, that wasn't clean.
Well, he hit his hand
because he had the ball. It was like right here, and he was going to put it up, and LeBron just slapped his hand down.
What? And I understand you might miss that call. I mean, you might miss that call. It's whatever. It's a tough call to make because it kind of looked like a block, and then you slow it down, and it's not.
Blocks are. I'll be honest. Blocks are hard to call on.
Right, but when you're calling on the opposite end of the floor, you're calling that every single time. Every single time that the Lakers drove, it was a foul. Then it's not. You have to call it. Like I don't care if it was a block. If it was a block on the other end, you'd call a foul. So you have to call a foul on this end.
Yeah.
It's the refs are ruining the NBA. That's all I have to say.
Quote it, put it on a t-shirt, tweet it. Yeah, I'll agree with you. It's hard. Also with NBA, it's hard with like, I mean, this is hard in all sports. Like in the moment, it's probably difficult because you're probably not thinking like, oh, I've called 30 on them and 0 on this team.
Right.
So I get that, but no, I agree with you. It's especially frustrating when it's your team that gets the shaft.
Yeah.
Like there's a running joke in the NFL, the Saints hate the referees. Like whether you're good or bad, the Saints hate you because you ruined 2 playoff runs for them.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it does suck because I know there have been times when I'm watching a Washington game and I'm like, damn, like how did he not call that? Like in my opinion, Ryan Kerrigan gets held on every play. I know that's not true, but like he should get sacks on almost every down. But it's like, yeah, I know what you mean. It's like especially when you're a fan or you're not a fan of the other team. Like when I'm watching the Patriots and the Patriots get all these flags,
right.
I'm like, bro, this is so stupid.
Right. But then again, if you're a Patriots fan,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're incredibly disciplined, whatever. Patriots, do your job, whatever.
Yeah. But I encourage you to go look at those highlights of that game.
I will. I think I'll watch. I'll see if I can find the full game because I think that'll be better to watch.
Yeah, it was pretty pathetic.
Yeah. I'll wrap up here. We'll wrap up here so you can get lunch and get ready for work. But one thing I do want to say, this is to anybody watching at this point. Sorry for there's no like cool colors here, and there's not our name here, and there's not cool colors at the bottom. But we're gonna lower production value to increase production.
That's right.
Other thing, Carter, watching this British podcast show thingy, they do this thing called The Kickoff, where they sit there and it's like a podcast while they're watching a soccer match.
Yeah.
And to anyone listening, this is way down the line. I'm just throwing it out there in case this is a good idea. I think it'd be a good idea to do that for like either UNC football games that are away that like we can't go to.
Yeah.
Or like UNC basketball games, but I want to wait till like you and I live in the same house. So it can be more of like we sit together and watch the game and have reactions, and we can invite people on to watch the game with us.
Yeah.
So
I would definitely be down for that.
And it'd be more
Absolutely.
like to people, to like the two viewers watching at this point, it'd be more like you wouldn't watch us to watch the game because legally I probably can't show the game.
Right.
But what I'm going to do when I release those videos, or when I hopefully figure out how to live stream it, what I'll do is like I'll have the time and the score in the bottom left,
Yeah.
and it'll be updated. So like when we freak out about a touchdown, it'll go like UNC 7-0.
Right.
Or if we freak out about a buzzer beater, it'll be like UNC 99, Duke 97.
Right.
So that's the idea.
Yeah, that's kind of what they do in like disc golf, because it's not live. It's not live, but they like, let's say I want to watch a tournament coverage, is they show the tournament, and then you got two guys commentating, what has already happened.
Yeah, they commentate in post, like
Right.
afterwards. Yeah.
That's kind of like what I feel like
It'd be
doing while watching it live. It's
yeah.
because they don't necessarily commentate. They're not saying, oh, this dude did this. They're just kind of talking over the
video.
right, and so
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
It'd be similar to that, but if we can live stream it, it'd be more of a like it's so if you're watching the game, say someone's watching the game, one of our viewers watching the game at home, they can pop our live stream on to the left, and during the football game, we could start talking about the state of UNC's education,
Right.
or like tuition or something.
No, yeah,
Like it's something. So like it basically, like we'll talk about sports, but also we might talk about broader topics. We could talk about exactly what's going on. We could be like, Sam Howell is crap. He is horrible.
Right.
Or we could be like, man, Mac Brown knows everything. That's the kind of thing I
Right.
want to do. Because watching it's called The Kickoff, which I watch. It's done by this guy, True Jordy. And they do it with soccer. And it's fun to watch. Like the conversations they have, it's funny.
Right.
So I think doing like an American college version would be a cool idea.
I think so too.
But anyways, all right. We're going to let Carter go so he can eat and I can eat. All right. To everyone viewing, thank you. And leave in the comments if you like that idea for whatever it's going to be called.
That's right.
Thank you. Woo!